The psychoanalytical literary criticism, or PLC, comes from the Freudian theories of psychology. Freud believed in the unconscious desires and defense mechanisms. For the unconscious and desires, there are three areas of the mind that are at continuous conflict for dominance over the subconscious mind. These are the id, the ego, and the superego. The id is the central location for all of our basic needs and drives. The id is the more savage and more animal part of the human. We differ from animals because we have intellect and we are not only instinctual, but we also have morals. What the id does is the id completely blocks out any social morals or rules or laws. It doesn't pay any attention to them and demands satisfaction immediately. So the id is solely run on the pleasure principle, which is seeking pleasure right when it is wanted and fulfilling that pleasure want for immediate satisfaction. The ego is a defense against the id, and it is more of the decision maker. The superego is the unconscious part that houses judgment. So the superego is more concerned with social morals and what is perfectly right and what is perfectly wrong. And so with the superego and the id are always at conflict, and the ego is the decision maker, and what the ego does is the ego balances out the two, because if the id and the superego were allowed to go into conflict all the time without the ego mediating, we would go crazy. Freud also believed in defense mechanisms, and what a defense mechanism is, as he reminds us, repression doesn't eliminate our painful experiences and emotions, and we unconsciously behave in ways that will allow us to play out our conflicted feeling about painful experiences. So what that means is that we use different defense mechanisms to kind of make the pain a little less hurtful. Say someone says something mean about you and you decide to laugh it off, but in actuality it hurt, but you laugh to use it as a defense mechanism to make the hurt a little less. So some defenses that Freud argued that we develop are selective perception, selective memory, and denial when we try to tell ourselves things aren't true, hoping they'll turn out not to be true, displacement, projection, regression, fear of intimacy, and fear of death. Freud believed that the Oedipus complex was a determinative element in the growth of a child. And what the Oedipus complex is, it's the overgrown obsession for a mother's attention, and Freud believed that it was a result of the Oedipus complex is a murderous rage against the father, and it is immediate desire to possess the mother. And so it involves children's need for their parents and the conflict that arises as they get older and realize that they have more focus on their mother's attention. And the Oedipus complex is present in one of Sophocles' plays, Oedipus Rex. So whenever we're looking at it through a Freudian theory perspective, we ask questions like, how does a character's behavior or past affect their mood or attitude in their writing? And how does it work together? And how does the work all piece together to suggest about the psychological background of the author? And then when we jump to Carl Jung, it is the whole point of the criticism is to connect between literature and what Carl called collectus unconscious. So he developed archetypal myths, and he looked for archetypes that would basically search for any kind of symbols in a work, and these archetypes help to make connection in the text to see the main idea. And some ways we can ask ourselves to understand the work is like, what is symbolic in the work? Is there any imagery? Is the hero on a journey? And if he is on a journey, is it a physical journey for to benefit physically or to benefit spiritually? And then Karen Horney developed the theory of neurosis. And neurosis is a result from basic, and as Karen Horney states, is a basic anxiety caused by things including in the id, domination and indirect domination, indifference, erratic behavior, lack of respect for the child's individual needs, lack of real guidance, disparaging attitude, too much admiration or the absence of it, lack of reliable warmth, or having to take sides. And what neurosis is, it's a mental and emotional disorder that affects only the personality. So, with all of these literary concepts that we're using and the principles, we use the Freudian theories and the theories of Carl and Karen just in order so that we can read psychoanalytically and so that we can see how main ideas are operating in the text so we can have a better understanding of the work. So, yeah.